I love you, Steffi. Kevin said to Steffi that he loved her. Justin is so nice to me. Lupita said to Anna that Justin was so nice to her. Finn, what did I do? I transformed a sentence in direct speech into reported speech. And that's what the video is all about. Before we go into the examples in more detail, let's talk about the usage. When do you use reported speech? Here we go. If you want to report what someone said some time ago, you can use indirect, or another term for it would be reported speech. A sentence in indirect speech is made up of two parts. You have an introduction with an introductory verb in the simple past. For example, he said that, she told me that, she reported that, and so on. There are more examples. This is followed by the actual main clause. The word that can be seen as separating the introduction from the main clause. You can also leave it out, so you don't necessarily need that to separate the introduction and the main clause from each other. There are some more things to consider when you transform a sentence from direct speech into indirect reported speech. For example, the verb of the spoken sentence in direct speech changes in indirect speech. It is usually set one step back in time. The expression for that is time shift. Pronouns, places, and times also change depending on the speaker's point of view. So, simple present turns into simple past. Simple past turns into past perfect, had plus third form. Present perfect turns into past perfect. Will future turns into what, would plus infinitive, and would, could, should, modal verbs stay the same, would, could, should. Let's see some examples, then it gets clearer, hopefully. We have a sentence in direct speech, and then on the other side, we have a sentence in reported speech. Let's go. I don't eat cheese. So we have a personal pronoun I, and the verb in red is don't eat cheese. It turns into Martin told me that he didn't eat cheese. Don't eat is simple present, and simple present turns into simple past, and I, personal pronoun, turns into he. I like my friends. Then this sentence transforms into Hannah said, that's the introduction, that she liked her friends. As I turns into she, like simple present turns into liked simple past, and my friends turns into her friends. We were at school. They explained, introduction, that they had been at school. We turns into they, and were, simple past turns into past perfect, had been at school. I went to a party. He said, introduction, that he had gone to a party. But there are more examples. Maybe it's a little bit hard for you at the beginning, but it gets clearer the more you practice and transform sentences from direct speech into indirect reported speech. I had spoken to Lena. Ellie told me and said and mentioned that she had spoken to Lena. I turns into she, had spoken, past perfect, stays the same, had spoken to Lena. Now, I will visit him. Anna said, Anna mentioned, Anna told me, and I told her that she will visit, turns into would visit him. I am not going to take the bus. That turns into Laura explained, Laura told me, Laura mentioned, whatever you want to use as introductory verb, that she wasn't going to take the bus. I am not turns into wasn't going. We should talk to her. Here we have got a modal verb. That should stay the same. Therefore, they said that they should talk to her. So you need to practice a lot. There are more examples. All verbs in a sentence must be taken into account in the time shift. So we're going to set the time back in one step into the past. Therefore, pay attention to main and subordinate clauses. If there are longer sentences, you have to consider all verbs and pronouns and so on. For example, I like going to the cinema because I watched a great movie last Friday. It's a very long sentence. And this turns into reported indirect speech. Mona said that, introduction, she liked going to the cinema because she had watched a great movie the Friday before. Last Friday turns into the Friday before. There are more changes. Time adverbials in the past. Here we go. I went home yesterday. So it's very, very slow. I went home yesterday turns into. Madeleine said she had gone home the day before. You can also say she had gone home the last day, the previous day. Yesterday turns into the day before, the last day, the previous day. I didn't arrive 2 weeks ago. In Greek, you see the time adverbial in the past, and this turns into Tom said he hadn't arrived 2 weeks before. So you don't use ago in the reported speech sentence. You use something with before. And there is another example. We did it last Monday. We have to change we have to change did, and we have to change last Monday. Tim said they had done it the last Friday, the Friday before. There's a mistake. It should be Monday. The last Monday, the Monday before. That's not enough, unfortunately. There are more time adverbials because there's also the present and the future. Let's see what we have to change there. Direct speech. I come home today. We have to change the I, we have to change come, and we have to change today. Consequently, the sentence transforms into, for example, Sophie said, she came home to me on that day. We don't use today today turns into on that day. And let's talk about the future. I will leave tomorrow. And tomorrow turns into. Sarah said she would leave on the next day, or something with following, on the following day. I am going to read it next week. Next week doesn't stay the same. Anna said she was going to read it the next or the following week, and there is another typing error, following with 2 O's. And there are more changes to come. We have pronouns, we have the verbs, time shift, one set back in time. So we have time adverbials, and there are 2 more here. And here turns into there. For example, I live here. Helen said she lived there. And another change is this demonstrative pronoun. I can do this, and this turns into that. Maria said she could do that. That was a long video with a lot of changes to think about. Summary. In this video we were talking about transforming sentences from the direct speech into the reported speech. When you do that, you have 2 parts. An introductory part. He said, she mentioned, Anna told me that. If you use tell, to tell is an introductory verb, you always need some person after that. He told me, he told her, she told Tom. So tell can't stand alone. You always need a person to tell. And then that is followed by that. It's like a separation. At the beginning you can use that for you to make it clear, to separate the 2 parts, but you can also leave it out. And then you have to change all pronouns. You have to change the tenses of the verbs. Simple present turns into simple past. Simple past turns into past perfect. Past perfect stays the same. You always set it back 1 time into the past. It's called time shift. You have to change time adverbials, today, tomorrow, ago, yesterday, and so on. And you have to change other changes like this turns into that, and here turns into there. The only thing to do is practice. And to practice, you get a lot of material to practice here with the Grammarbox, www.grammarbox.de, or in the Grammar Workbook. Das war's, ein langes Video zu indirekter Rede. Wenn dir das Video gefallen hat, Daumen hoch. Wenn du sagst, schwierig, laberababa, Daumen nach unten. Wie gesagt, Übungen findest du zahlreich in der Grammarbox, www.grammarbox.de, noch mehr Übungen im English Grammar Workbook. Und die indirekte Rede ist ein anspruchsvolles Thema. Ich würde dir raten, dringend zu üben. Und gerade am Anfang siehst du vielleicht auch bei Leistungsmessungen an der Anzahl der Punkte am Rand, wie viele Dinge du möglicherweise indirekt bei Redesatz ändern musst. Somit ist es nicht mehr so schwer, etwas zu übersehen, denn die größte Gefahr ist, dass man etwas übersieht, zu ändern. In diesem Sinne, danke fürs Zusehen, lass gerne ein Abo da, wenn du nichts mehr verpassen möchtest, Glocke an, Sage es allen weiter. Bei Fragen lasst gerne einen Kommentar da. Ich versuche, alle zu beantworten. In diesem Sinne, danke fürs Zusehen. Bis zum nächsten Mal und ciao for now.